Hello, my friend. It is good to see you again. Welcome to the English background. Take a slow breath. Find a quiet place, a comfortable chair, a warm cup, a window with light. We are here together now. There is no hurry. Today we have a story about mystery. You have probably seen these cards before. Some people say they tell the future. Some people say they came from Egypt thousands of years ago. But the real story is very different. The real story begins in Italy, 500 years ago, not with magic, but with a game. We will tell it slowly, in simple English, word by word. Let the story come to you. Picture a large room in the city of Milan. The year is 1442. The walls are painted in bright colors. There is gold on the ceiling. The people in this room are rich. They are nobles, the most powerful people in Italy. They sit around a long table. They eat well, they laugh, they talk, and in their hands, they hold cards. These cards are not small. Each one is painted by hand. The artist used real gold and fine brushes. Each card has a picture on it: a king, a queen, a knight, a fool, a wheel, a star. Now one man at the table draws a card. He looks at the picture. He thinks for a moment. Then he begins to speak. He makes a short poem. The poem is about another person at the table. It is a little funny, maybe a little rude. Everyone laughs. This game had a name, tarocchi appropriati. In English, it means something like matching cards. Players drew a card from a pile and made a short poem about someone in the room. It was a social game, a party game, a game of jokes and words. Nobody at that table was thinking about the future. Nobody was talking to the dead. Nobody was looking for ancient secrets. They were playing cards on a Tuesday evening in Milan. That is where tarot begins. The man who paid for those cards was a duke. His name was Filippo Maria Visconti. He was the ruler of Milan, one of the most powerful men in Italy. Visconti loved beautiful things. He commissioned several decks of cards. Commissioned means he paid artists to make them for him. The artists worked slowly and with great care. They used real gold. They used expensive paints. Each card was a small painting. Some of those cards still exist today. You can see them in museums in Milan and in New York. Researchers at Yale University looked very closely at the cards. They found marks in the paper, marks that old papermakers put in their paper, like a signature. These marks told them the date. The cards were made between 1437 and 1442. These early decks are now called the Visconti Sforza cards. Sforza was the family that came after Visconti in Milan. They used the same cards. They probably played the same game. And here is something interesting. On the edges of some cards, the paint is a little worn. The gold is a little thin. These are not decorations. They were used at the table in a real game. By the end of the 1400s, the cards had a fixed form. 78 cards, 22 special trump cards with pictures, 56 regular cards in 4 suits, cups, swords, coins, and sticks. This form is still the form of tarot today. The game spread. It moved from Milan to Ferrara, from Ferrara to Bologna, from Bologna to France. In France, the game became very popular. The French made their own cards. They called the game tarot, the name that stayed. As the years went on, the cards became cheaper. In the beginning, only rich people could have them. Each card was painted by hand and cost a lot of money. But then printers found a new way to make cards, with wood blocks. A printer carved the picture into a piece of wood. He put ink on the wood. He pressed paper on it. One card became 10. 10 became 100. The price went down. More people could buy them. Now the game was not only for nobles. Merchants played it. Soldiers played it. Farmers played it in the evenings, after work. People also played a different version, not the poetic party game, but a trick-taking game, a little like bridge. This version is still played today, in France, in Italy, in Switzerland. It has rules. It has strategy. It is a real card game. For 300 years, from about 1440 to 1750, tarot was a game. Only a game. But then one man had an idea, and that idea changed everything. The year was 1781. The city was Paris. A French writer named Antoine Comte de Gébelin was at a dinner party. He was an interesting man. He believed that all the wisdom of the ancient world was hidden somewhere, in old symbols, in forgotten pictures, in things most people did not notice. That evening, a woman at the party was playing a card game. He saw her cards. He looked at the pictures, the star, the wheel, the tower, the moon, the sun. Something happened in his mind. He thought, these pictures are not from Italy. They are from Egypt. The ancient priests of Egypt put their wisdom into these images. These cards are the Book of Thoth, a book of secret knowledge from thousands of years ago. The cards traveled across the world, through many hands, and arrived here, in this room, in Paris. He was very excited. He went home and wrote about it. He put the story into a long book called Le Monde Primitif. But there was one problem. He had no evidence. None. He said so himself in the book. He wrote that he had no old papers from Egypt, no ancient documents, no proof. He wrote it anyway. Europe was in love with Egypt at that time. Everything Egyptian felt old and wise and mysterious. The story spread fast. Other writers picked it up. They added new details. They made the story bigger. In a few years, people forgot that Comte de Gébelin had no proof. They only remembered the story. But the Egyptian story was not the only myth about tarot. There were others, and every one of them is wrong. Some people say the Romani people brought tarot from the East. The Romani, sometimes called Roma or Gypsies, are a people with a long history of travel across Europe. Many Romani people became known as card readers, so the story seemed natural. They must have brought the cards. But there is a problem. Tarot cards appeared in Milan in the 1440s. The Romani people arrived in Western Europe at roughly the same time, or even a little later. They did not bring tarot, and the Romani people come from northern India, not from Egypt. Some people say the Knights Templar put their secret knowledge into the cards. The Knights Templar were a famous Christian group of the Middle Ages. They were powerful. They were mysterious. Legends say they had great secrets. But there is also a problem here. The Order of the Knights Templar was destroyed in 1312. Tarot cards appeared 130 years later. The Templars were gone long before the first card was painted. Some people say tarot is thousands of years old, ancient, from a time before history. The evidence says tarot is about 580 years old, not ancient, not from Egypt, not from the Templars. Born in Italy, at a table, with wine and laughter. So when did tarot become a tool for reading the future? It happened slowly, and it happened much later than most people think. The first written record of tarot cards used for divination, divination means looking for hidden information about the future, appeared around 1750. That is 300 years after the cards first came to Milan. 300 years. Around that time, a Frenchman named Jean-Baptiste Alliette became very interested in card reading. He wrote the first book about using cards to tell fortunes. He used a pen name, Etella. He said each card had a meaning, and each meaning could tell something about a person's life. Later, he redesigned the cards. He changed the pictures to make them better for divination. He added written meanings to each card. He turned the deck into a system. Other fortune tellers followed. They wrote their own books. They made their own decks. Slowly, across Europe, tarot moved from the game table to the fortune teller's table. The game was changing. But the biggest change of all came in 1909, and it came from a woman that most people have never heard of. Her name was Pamela Colman Smith. She was an artist, born in England but raised partly in Jamaica. She was 34 years old. She worked in London. She loved theater, stories, and color. In 1909, a publisher named William Rider and a writer named Arthur Edward Waite came to her with a project. They wanted a new tarot deck, and they had one important idea. Before this, the numbered cards, The 2 of Cups, the 5 of Swords, the 7 of Coins had only symbols on them, just the number and the picture of the suit. Like regular playing cards. Pamela changed that. She drew a full scene for every single card, all 78 of them. A woman sitting alone, 9 swords on the wall, she is afraid. 2 children dancing under a bright sun, they are happy and free. A man walking alone on a long road, his back to us, where is he going? Each card became a small story. Each image gave a feeling. People looked at the cards and thought, yes, that is my life. That is how I feel. That is something I know. The deck appeared in 1909. It was called the Rider-Waite Tarot. More than 100 years later, it is still the most popular tarot deck in the world. Most people, when they think of tarot, think of Pamela's pictures. She was paid for the work. She was not paid well. She did not become famous in her lifetime, but her pictures changed how the whole world sees tarot. So here is the strange thing about this story. A card game was invented in Italy at a party for rich people. It had nothing to do with magic. It had nothing to do with Egypt. It had nothing to do with the future. Then one man told a story about Egypt with no proof, and the world believed him. Then one woman drew 78 small pictures, and those pictures became the most recognizable images in the history of divination. Today, millions of people use tarot cards. Some use them to think about problems in their life. Some use them in therapy, with a professional who helps them think and feel better. Some use them for a quiet moment in a busy day. Do the cards tell the future? The history says, probably not. They were never made for that. But do the pictures help people ask questions about their own life? Do they give people something to look at, something to feel, something to think about? Maybe they do. Maybe that is enough. From a party game in Milan to the most mysterious cards in the world, that is the history of tarot. And that is our story for today. You listen to it in English. That is not a small thing. Every story you hear takes you one quiet step closer to the best version of yourself, the one who understands English well, the one who knows something new about the world. Take one slow breath. Stay with the story for a moment before you go back to your day. Now I have a small question for you. Before today, what did you think tarot was? Did you know it began as a game in Italy? Did you know about the Egyptian story and that it was not true? Write your answer in the comments. I will read every one. If you want a new story every week, you can press the subscribe button. It is one small click for you and a big help for us. Thank you for being here today. See you in the next story, here at the English Background.